Ding, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, and hello fellows, Herogon here. Today is Thursday, March 9th of 2023. So far is pretty close to the spring break part of college, and I'm probably going to be on a nice little break from the classes. I'm not entirely sure about the homework though, but it's probably gonna be fine. Now, so far college has still been going pretty okay. I think I'm almost done with the semester. I think April's when things are about to end for me for that semester. To be honest, it's a little tough on that schedule. With that being said, let's get into a few things. Credit again goes to Shawnthebro for all of his stuff, and I actually have some news with regards to him. According to his community post, he has some pretty exciting news. And he is going to be getting married in the next few weeks. And he plans on having a gaming jamboree on Sunday, March 26th to celebrate. And if you're interested, he also has a wedding website where he's got a bunch of wish list stuff. And if anyone is so inclined, you can feel free to buy him any of these stuff around here, whether that's the Disney gift card, bits of silverware around here, or even some small stuff like this Studio Ghibli cookbook. He's got plenty of wish list stuff on here. And with that, that's pretty much the lowdowns about Shawnthebro's big news. And on another note, so far Path of Yao is a bit slow on getting downloads or views. Thankfully, it is part of at least 2 different collections. One that's a weird set of 13,503 items from this Easter Judge user, and another being Shawnthebro's collection. It's probably new that you now see Shawnthebro on itch.io, but it is what it is. I mean, every sort of influencer or other content creator out there has plenty of platforms, myself included. But let's get to the good bits that you've been wanting. A bit of an update for the fighting game framework. So far, last week involved this Sunday involved frame advantage / disadvantage. For those of you that don't know a thing about frame advantage or disadvantage, it basically entails the frames that you're able to have before your other player ends up getting out of idle, their stun. Now, for something like Mortal Kombat 11, frame advantage and disadvantage is pretty important. So, the first thing to go through is the code part. It's pretty simple, really. Most of the stuff is in Blueprint, but let's get the C++ part out of the way. We have ourselves a new function called Determine Frame Advantage HUD, and it's a Blueprint implementable event. In our CPP, we call this for other player on received damage, and it's within a lot of the stuff around here. But where we focus on is outside of much of the stuff, where it's right here. Other player, determine frame advantage HUD. It determines our frame advantage or disadvantage for the character that landed such attack, on hit or block. And that is pretty much the few bits that we've got for the frame advantage and disadvantage part in C++. There's still a few kinks with the received damage part that has all the that involves the frame data HUD here. So we have added something new here, a frame advantage spot. This in particular has your usual text of 0, but we do bind that somewhere using this function. If our game mode reference is valid, then we set our text depending on the if is player 1. If it is player 1, our value will be the last stun frames received of player 2 minus the last recovery frames of player 1. And for false, it is the player 1's last stun frames received minus the player 2 last recovery frames. We return that value into a toText integer node, and the return value of that goes into the in-text. Easy enough for that part. Of course, you'll also want to make sure that you have yourself the frame data panel here. It will only show up in the practice mode. In our base character BP, one part we've got is the event determine frame advantage HUD. We get our HUD reference. If it's valid, then we determine our frame data advantage. And that's all dependent on is player 1 Boolean. If it's true, then our P1 frame data panel will have the values. If not, P2 frame data panel will update. And of course, this is for each of our little frame data panels. Using this value, we determine whether this is for player 1 or player 2. That's a pretty important thing to have around, so yeah. Same goes with the is player 1 boolean. If it is player 1, we set that to true. If not, we set that to false. And most of the other small stuff that we've got is involved in the hitbox data. We've got ourselves the hit stun frames and block stun frames. And of course, our moveset data here, we have startup, active, and recovery frames. These will be important when we get into the game itself. We go into learn versus practice, beachside karate dojo, and finally Atom Mortem. Then we press return to confirm, the P button to the P key to skip. Then we go up to our character, then we hit them. If you notice our frame advantage in these here, it's all dependent on the stun frames and recovery frames. So 8 minus 5 will equal a frame advantage of 3. Same can go for our kick. A frame advantage of 1 in that case. It's pretty important to have the frame advantage, as that is very, very important. You need it in order to get a bit of an upper hand on the other players, so to speak. Mortal Kombat 11 does make a good use of the frame advantage by showing it in their tutorials. So yeah. As for the blocking part of it, so far the stun frames part has not been working so good on that part. It will only update the stun frames if we go into another move while they're blocking. But the stun frames haven't exactly changed, so I will probably have to solve that sometime soon. But other than that, things have been going pretty okay so far. And here's a bit of a rhetorical answer if anyone's asking if I still want to do the fighting game framework. I'm gonna have to say that I'm currently trying to do different projects right now. Of course, I can't exactly announce them at this time and moment, but for the fighting game framework, I can guarantee you that I do wish to have it around. The ideas I have, however, may end up going a different direction than a fighting game. Could a fighting game possibly be a spin-off for whatever I have planned? Maybe. It all depends. The video game industry is a bit of an unknown at many times. So yeah, that's the best I can say in my own opinions. With that, that is pretty much it for a few of the updates to the fighting game framework. And credit again goes to Shawnthebro for all of his tutorials. They've been pretty useful and decent enough for me. They've definitely been the biggest fighting game tutorial around. And so far, it looks like things are going pretty well for him, judging by the community post and his upcoming wedding day. With that out of the way, with all that being said, I've been Herogon, you've been you, and Sean, if you are watching this, congratulations on your marriage, and to the rest of my fellows out there, thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.